Ciao, grazie mille per essere qua. Anzitutto buona festa della liberazione a tutti e grazie che la passate qua stamattina. Hello Martin, this is Marina again.
Hello.
We're now talking from the theater. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. As we just said, it's Liberation Day today, back from World War II, so it's a very good way to celebrate with you. And we are gonna screen the documentary about you, I Am Martin Parr by Lee Schulman. So it's a very entertaining journey about your work and life over the last 50 years or so. So do you want to introduce it a little bit? You want to spend a few words to introduce the film?
Okay, well, hi, folks. Are you translating? Do I need to do a short sentence?
Oh, let me ask. Avete bisogno di traduzione o ce la caviamo? No translation, so go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, so I've worked with Lee. I first found his work with the Anonymous Project in Arles in 2019. I liked the project. We met then. And then he proposed that we did a book together called Deja Vu, where he would select images from his archive of anonymous pictures and put them next to my pictures. And that worked very well. And then he said, why don't we do a film together? And I thought, well, fine, why not? I know the guy, I trust him, I like his taste. So yes, we decided to do a film together. And we went back to the different places in my life where certain things have happened, like New Brighton, when I did The Last Resort, going back to Hebden Bridge, where I worked in black and white. And he filmed me as we went along. He also got a lot of talking heads, anyone from Grayson Perry to, let me think, Louis, who runs the studio at our place in Bristol. And the film came together, and it seems to have worked very well, and people like it.
Good. We're gonna love it too. And so you actually built the film together. You really had a voice in the documentary's narrative.
Well, yes, I have a voice because I'm talking about my work as we go along. They're watching me shooting as well. So yes, it's a narrative about me and him going on this trip together round the UK.
So how was it for you that you've been like observing people for many years now to be the one who was observed for once?
Not a problem. I mean, I've had many people do films about me, so I'm used to this. And Lee was very good because he allowed me to say what I wanted to say, and he's a very good person to work with.
Now, going back to your very early start of your career, I've read that you first decided to be a photographer at a very young age. You were like 13 or 14 years old, and that you learned a lot from your grandfather. Is that so?
That's correct. That is indeed correct, yes. My grandfather was a very keen amateur photographer. He was a fellow of the Royal Photographic Society. So when I went up to stay with him in the north of England, he used to lend me a camera, go out shooting, develop the film, made prints. So yes, by about the age of 13 or 14, I decided I wanted to be a photographer.
Good. And so you started your first series, it's like from the late 70s, early 80s. You first started in black and white monochrome photography with like Bad Weather, which is a genius project. And then you switched to color images. And The Last Resort in 1986 was probably your first color project.
That's right, yes. And that's become still probably my best known body of work. It's about a rundown seaside resort that was just down the road from where we lived. And I photographed there with all the rubbish it was very litter bound then. And I contrast the litter with the domestic activities of people going for day trips to New Brighton.
Yeah. But actually through those images you were documenting and in a way celebrating like the British working class on vacation in UK seaside resort, but also you were probably making a wider comment and observation on more universal issues like consumerism, leisure, also social class divide. And so what actually draws you to these subjects?
Well, I guess there's politics in my images if you look to find them, but I don't actually smother people with the ideas of politics. But I think it's all there to be found when you look at the pictures. And indeed, consumerism, tourism, gentrification, all these words are images and things that I apply to my work.
Yeah, and some people consider your work because it's a real mirror which is held up to the Western society. Someone finds it very tender and affectionate and benevolent, but others see some kind of satirical and sarcastic twist to it. So where do you put yourself in this range of possibilities?
Well, I know that I like people, but yes, these are quite tough pictures because the things I'm showing, the contrast with the litter and the domestic activity, is quite piercing when you see it on the screen. So I would say politics are in my work all the time, but you have to sort of dig a bit deep to actually locate it.
Yeah. And what do you think is the most British thing you've ever photographed?
Drinking cups of tea, having tea in the afternoon is something that's very important. This is not something you get in Italy. So around between 3 and 4 o'clock, it's when we have to have a tea, ideally with a bit of cake or a scone, something like that. That is a very British thing to do.
Yeah. And speaking about Italy, you've been holding so many exhibitions in our country, and also you have a long-standing collaboration with the magazine Toilet Paper, which is run by Maurizio Cattelan. So do you feel a special connection with our country?
I very much like Italy. I've always loved photographing there. I've accumulated a lot of images of Italy, and I'm hoping in the next 5 years or so to do a book about this work. So yes, it's one of my favorite countries in Europe. I can't get enough of it.
And one more question about your process when you shoot. When you go about in the streets, you don't necessarily have a relationship with your subjects. You just point and shoot. But what is your process of spotting these very perfect moments of magic in the very ordinary life?
I guess the process is that I photograph a lot of very bad ones and they don't quite work or they're near misses. So eventually, if you've got enough stamina, you will find pictures that reveal themselves. The reason why I have these good pictures is I keep taking a lot of failures.
So you are resistant and resilient.
Exactly, yeah. You have to have stamina to go on.
And speaking about the present, what are you working on now? And also, if you can tell us a bit more about your foundation of the same name, which you founded in Bristol a few years back.
Well, we have a foundation here. It opened in 2017, and the purpose of the foundation is to support and give a platform to other British documentary photographers. We have a gallery. We do 4 shows a year. We have a huge library, have a big archive, and people come and do research about British photography here, which is a nice thing to be able to offer. So yes, it's going very well. And if anyone of your audience is in Bristol, you must come and see us.
Yeah, for sure. And about your past projects, but also the future ones, which was the one you had the most fun shooting, or that's simply most dear to you?
I guess going to tourist locations is interesting. I mean, for example, in Italy now, I've been to both Rome and Venice in the last couple of years, and since COVID, they've become even more crowded than ever before. So, photographing crazy tourist activity is something I'm very interested in and get very excited about.
Okay. I think we can, if you have a few more minutes, if you'd like to have a couple of questions from the audience, if there's any.
I take the microphone for the people here. If you have a question, you can raise your hand. You can do it in Italian if you want, and we will translate as you prefer. Okay, I'm coming.
Buongiorno. I suoi film, le sue fotografie sembrano dei frammenti di film muti che raccontano del rumore della società. Lo raccontano più alla Monty Python o alla Black Mirror?
Freestyle. Allora, your pictures are like small fragments of silent movies, and which portray our very loud and noisy society. And she wants to know if is it more a Black Mirror thing or more a Monty Python, sorry.
Well, I think humor is very important, and it's one thing we still do very well in Britain. So I try and, I mean, when the world out there is crazy and funny, so when I take pictures of it, inevitably there's going to be some humor in there. And when we think about Monty Python and the surreal activities that they all got up to, it's something I've always got in the back of my mind. So she's right to identify that.
There is one more question here, two more questions.
Grazie mille, volevo un'opinione di Martin su se ha una nostalgia per l'utilizzo della pellicola rispetto al digitale e come la moltiplicazione di immagini che è arrivata con i social media ha impattato il suo lavoro e il suo sguardo di fotografo, se lo ha fatto o meno.
So they want to know if you feel a bit of nostalgia for analogic photography compared to the digital one, and also if the impact of how social media impacted your work, if they did.
Well, I very much like the black and white days that I did for many, many years, between 1975 through to 1982. And I've done books, and I'm very proud of that work. So I look back with great nostalgia to the black and white work. And then I changed to digital in 2008. So it was well after the time that I'd done the Last Resort images, which was shot on a 6x7 camera. And so since then, I've gone to digital, and now there's no looking back. It makes it so much easier for me to photograph things with digital, especially at night, when I'm getting the right exposure, the right balance between ambient and natural light.
And about the social media, the impact they had.
Well, yeah, social media is an important part of what we do, both for my business and for the foundation. We have many, many basic, yes, we have many followers. We have 777,000, 100,000 on Instagram. And this is a great way of us getting the messages out to people about a new book or a new project. So it's absolutely crucial to our going, and being able to speak directly to the people who like my work is a great advantage.
I had a question. So you photograph a lot in the UK, but I'm wondering when you're photographing outside of the context of the UK or maybe in Europe, if your approach changes.
Not really, because I'm just seeing what's in front of me and photographing it and trying to get a decent picture. So, you know, I know when I'm in somewhere like Italy, it looks and feels very different to England, but my attitude remains the same. I'm just out there trying to understand how I can get a good picture that reflects what I see in front of me.
Hi, Martin. It's James. I'm from Derby in the Midlands.
All right. Hi.
I've got a two-part question. How do you take your tea?
Good question. Milk, no sugar.
And what's your favorite biscuit?
Oh, I mean, I like a chocolate chip cookie, something like that. Preferably a homemade one, or one that I bought from a very good baker. So yeah, good set of questions.
Perfect.
I've never been asked that before, so you get the prize for the most original question.
The most British question.
Yes.
There is another question here and another here. So I don't know if we have the time, but I think so.
Io volevo sapere se c'è qualche artista emergente nel quale si rivede o che ritiene possa essere un po' il suo successore.
She's asking if there is some young artist that you think is following your steps and can be your prosecutor. No,
No, I do
prosecutor is
see-
wrong. Prosecutor is wrong. Sorry, my
No,
English
you're
is
right.
very
It's
bad.
wrong.
Marina will say the correct word.
Yeah, actually, if there's any young photographer where you see yourself, you're reflected, and also if you think that can bring on your legacy.
Yes, I see my influence in other people's work that would get through the foundation. So that's interesting. I mean, there's a whole generation of photographers that I taught at Farnham College in the 80s, like Anna Fox, Paul Seawright, who've all gone on to do very good work and, are very good ex-pupils. So I do see this influence that I've had on various people.
I think we have.
Maybe there is time for one more question.
Okay.
It's far, so I'm arriving. Qua.
Volevo solo chiedere, Luce, che le sue immagini sono talmente vere, cioè io le percepisco così, che mi fanno entrare in un mondo surreale, se questo è il suo intento.
So she's saying your images are so true that when she sees them, she enters a world that is totally subreal. Is it a bit your
Totally what?
purpose? Subreal.
Oh, super real, yeah.
Is it your purpose?
For sure, yeah. I'm trying to take pictures of what I see and to get the spirit of what I see into my images, which is not an easy thing. And most of the time I fail to do that. But I go on and try and take pictures that capture that sort of feeling I have in front of me.
Okay, Martin, I think. Oh, 2 more questions. Do you have 2 more minutes or you have to run away?
Go on then.
Okay.
This is very simple. Which is your best photographer?
My favorite would be
Yeah,
Tony
your favorite.
Stone. British photographer who died very young but did very interesting work.
Which is actually your favorite photographer, living or not?
That's what I just said, yeah. I said.
We did not hear the name.
Oh,
Many
so
of-
the answer is Tony Ray Jones, very good photographer, died very young, but did a great body of work in the late 60s.
Thank you. And this is the very last question, and the movie will start, I think.
Mi chiedevo come è nato l'utilizzo del flash, che è comunque una scelta di luce super iconica che ha influenzato tantissimi nella rappresentazione dei turisti. Sarà un'arma che loro utilizzavano, che il fotografo ha scelto di utilizzare con loro a sua volta.
How do you use and feel about your very powerful use of the flash, which is something that also tourists use a lot? So it's a kind of shared weapon with them.
Yes, I like using flash. It gives a real feeling of almost oversimplification of what's in front of me. It becomes very bright, very colorful. So I like that effect that it has. So it also makes things slightly surreal. And I like the fact that that surreal element can be introduced into the work by the use of flash. So it's something, I don't use flash all the time in daylight, but I very often do.
Okay, Martin, so I think that's a wrap. You've been very, very kind and special to us this morning. So thank you again. We're going to see the documentary now and hopefully see you in Bristol at your foundation anytime soon.
Okay, thank you and enjoy.
Thanks again. And also here in Milan, come to Cinema Beltrade.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.